You're welcome back. You're watching TVC Breakfast. South African President Jacob Zuma has criticized protests against him, saying all they've done is prove that racism is still a problem in the country.
Thousands of South Africans took part in marches last week calling on Zuma to resign. He was speaking at the 24th commemoration of the death of anti-apartheid activist Chris Hani. Yeah, TVC's Voldy Karelsa joins us now from Johannesburg. Good morning, Voldy.
Good morning.
Okay, now what do we make of this claim from Jacob Zuma that the protests against him have racist undertones? Why is he playing this racism card?
Well, Save South Africa would argue that he's using it in order to divide South Africa. Race is still a prominent feature in a post-apartheid South Africa, despite the legacy that Nelson Mandela and others wanted to leave of a non-racial country. Maybe I should contextualize what the president said. He said yesterday that what saw in some of these marches was depictions of black people as baboons. And this was in reference to one particular picture where marchers were marching with bananas in their hands and had a picture of Zuma on the back depicted as a devil. In others, there was Zuma depicted on a butternut, for example. He's saying that this takes us back, it sets us back, and it proves, and it's emboldened racists, and that's a direct quote from him. It was quite ironic that the president should use race to criticize these marches, because last year he's on record as saying we're a non-racial society. Racism is not a problem in our country, and this was in the wake of Penny Sparrow, a white woman calling black people in KwaZulu-Natal baboons when they went to the beach. And the president, seemingly in denial about the race problem in South Africa last year, has finally realized that indeed we do have a race problem in South Africa. But Save SA, that organized the march to the Union Building on Friday, saying that this is in fact just an attempt by the president to get us to concentrate on a hot button issue in South Africa in order to divide us. And they're saying that certainly their movement won't be divided by the president's criticism that these marches have just served to embolden racists.
Okay, let's look at the grouse. What's at the grouse of the people? What are they saying? An organization called the Standard & Poor downgraded your rating in South Africa, saying but the country is perhaps not longer investment friendly. Moving it, taking it to a junk level. The organization is not a South African organization. That is not a racist issue. How do you think South Africa can bounce back from this?
I think that's a question that everybody is grappling with, and it's not just Standard & Poor's that downgraded us to below investment grade. Fitch did as well. They did that last Friday as the marches got underway here in South Africa. So I think that is a question that everybody is grappling with now. Zuma saying that he met with the finance ministry, he met with the head of the Reserve Bank to discuss what steps to take in the wake of junk status. Some people would argue, indeed the critics of Zuma would argue, that in order to get out of junk status, all you need to do is to remove the president. The ANC feels that it's not that simple, and some analysts believe that Zuma is merely a symptom of the rot that is there within the wider organization, and removing him won't stop the looting of state coffers. And so this is a discussion that's currently underway in South Africa as to how to dig ourselves out of this hole that we're currently in.
Voldy Karelsa, just stand by. We have a report that you brought to us on this. Let's listen in.
Dared march against him.
There is a resurgence of racism in our country. It is also clear that racists have become more emboldened. The marches that took place last week demonstrated that racism is real.
And those
right, unfortunately, that went off abruptly. I'm sure Voldy Carelse is still there. Now, Voldy, analysts say that they're not too sure that this widespread protests that have gone all the way to London would, actually enough to shake Jacob Zuma. And then you have a party, the ANC, that is somewhat divided, but still firmly behind Jacob Zuma. It almost seems that he's a rock of Gibraltar here.
Africa, they like to jokingly refer to the president as the Teflon man, because nothing that's thrown at him sticks. For example, the more than 700 charges of corruption and racketeering, that hasn't been able to stick. The allegations, the other allegations of corruption against him, nothing sticks to him. That's what analysts jokingly refer to the president as. But I do think that what the ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe said last week was interesting. He's saying all these attacks on Zuma, all it does is serve to make the ANC united force, that the only people who have the power to remove a sitting president is the ANC. And what everyone's talking about in South Africa this morning is the article written by former President Thabo Mbeki. Now, you'll remember Thabo Mbeki was recalled in 2007 by his own party, by the ANC. And he is saying that ahead of this motion of no confidence, ANC MPs who are in the majority in Parliament need to know that they aren't the voice of the party, but they should be the voice of the people, basically urging them to vote with their conscience in this motion of no confidence. We do know that one opposition party, the UDM, has gone to the Constitutional Court in order to force the Speaker to have a secret ballot, because they believe this is the only way to get ANC MPs to in fact vote with their conscience and not with their stomach, and not fear losing their job or their benefits as an MP.
Okay, Voldy, I think we have to let you go now. Perhaps it's also time to let the ANC go. ANC has been in power since 1994. Really, maybe it's time for another change in South Africa. Malema will want that. Very sure he will be glad to have a change in the South African politics.
But you know what? Foladele actually has something.
On that?
We don't. Okay. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Then,
right,
Voldy, thank you so much. Of course, we expect to hear more from you later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have a good...
Bye.